For the past few weeks, people have been shocked at the amount of sneakers that have been sat on shelves at retail stores or discounted at outlets.
A lot of the other Air Jordans just sitting on shelves.
Kind of like a wake-up call. I bought someone the Carolina Blue ones, the Reimagines, and I was like, oh, people love these, you know.
Those sat too.
They're still in stores.
So I decided to visit these stores to, one, see if it's actually real, and two, if it is, find out what's really going on. So we are pulling up to the Fashion Show Mall, so we'll see if there's anything. Are Jordans dead? Is sneakers dead? And if so, how did we get here? I guess we'll check out a JD. So this JD store had the music blasting so loud it felt like a nightclub, and obviously YouTube is going to copyright this channel. But essentially what I was saying was, oh wow, Fire Red 5 still sitting, Pure Money 3 still sat around, etc, etc, shatter backboards, cave stones. This store had pretty much every GR Jordan just sat inside, basically just confirming all of the different posts that have been made online about how many retro Jordans are sat inside retail stores. They even had the UNC Reimagines reduced already. Pretty crazy to see how much is actually sitting in stores. It's always good to go into a JD and see kind of where the sneaker market's at in terms of what's selling out in the US or whatever country I'm in. And a lot is sitting in there. We had like the Fire Red 5s, the UNC ones reduced, which is crazy. And things seem to get even crazier when we went to the outlet. Oh shit. Oh, I'm getting them. No way. Yes, an entire size run of the Amamenyar Air Jordan 4s sat in the outlets. Just 2 years ago, people could not even imagine that this would be possible. And aside from collaborations, they had discounted Jordan 1 Low Obsidians, one of the most hyped up colorways on the Jordan 1 model. Jordan 1 Royal Reimagines, tons of other colorways, and of course those UNC Reimagines once again. Damn, we go all the way back here. Damn, they got these. And these just dropped? 60 bucks. UNCs, these are 60 bucks as well. So all of these dunks, $60. It's pretty crazy. They've got all of the Jacquemus Air Forces here. Like loads of them all over the place. They got them for $9. Ain't no way. Is that real? 10 bucks? That is basically Nike is handing out free shoes at this point. Now, I think it's important to note that this conversation isn't necessarily exclusive to 2025. People have seen a slump in the sneaker market and just that the general interest in sneakers hasn't been what it was like a few years ago. But it does seem like the last couple years people kind of shrugged it off and just assumed that things would return back to normal. And it's almost like 2025, it's finally come to a lot of people's realization that it's not going back to the highs of 2020. Now, in my opinion, all of this can be explained by a few just simple facts. And the first one is just that the highs of the 2020s and 2021 was a super inflated time for sneakers. Every Jordan Retro was selling out. Collaborations were like an instant money glitch for the now boatloads of resellers that were surrounding everyone. Obviously, I don't need to go into all of the detail because that time in sneakers has been very well documented. But today things are different. You know, we don't see as many resellers. A lot of them have kind of faded away. And that's just because for a lot of them, there's just not enough profit. Resale stores have been closing down, and I pulled up and it is closed down. Like that, there's no way that this place is open. You don't see the insane amount of like Instagram resellers and online sellers. Some of them have moved over to different industries like Pokemon cards and Labubus. And the few that have kind of stuck it out are either really large entities or are just not making as much money as they used to, or resorting to questionable methods to sell shoes, to put it very lightly. Right, so just left Bring It Back, and I don't know if he was the owner or just the dude that worked there. He was telling me a little bit about the sneaker scene here in Vegas, because obviously I told him that I'm shooting a video kind of talking about all of the resale stores and stuff like that. He said in the past year 5 different locations have shut down, and then there's multiple others that are also on the verge of shutting down. He also mentioned Urban Necessities. He doesn't think it's going to be around for much longer. Obviously You guys know all the drama that's going on with Urban Necessity. He was also just touching on like the general interest in sneakers has shifted and gone down a lot. So they've had to change their business model to adapt to that, offer more clothing instead of just relying on sneakers. And as you can see, like when we were in there's just racks of different clothing. Hellstar, obviously, like Spider, some luxury items as well, which I think back in, a few years ago, they'd mainly rely on some of the more like popular sneaker styles like the Panda Dunks, the Red Thunder 4s, all of the classics. So it was very interesting to have that little chat with him. But overall here in the Arts District now, most of the stores have shut down. That was the only one I could find. Bring it back. So why and how did this happen? Why is the general interest down? Why are resellers leaving? Well, first one, and I think it's something that a lot of people reference, and that is price, quality, and economy, which is, yes, 3 different things, but I think they all kind of, accumulate into one main point. Price inflation and quality deflation are points that people consistently talk about, and when they are talking about it, it's mainly aimed at Nike and Jordan Brand. You don't really see this conversation too much of surrounding all of the other brands. And when you look into it, it's pretty obvious that the price of retro Jordans have been going up to a pretty uncomfortable level. I really do like these for some reason. There's just no way I'm paying $200 for them. And at the same time, for a lot of these now more expensive retro Jordans, the quality has been dipping. And then of course, both of those 2 different things tie into just the general economy at the moment. The price of everything has kind of been going up. And many people are struggling to pay for things that they actually need, like groceries. So the people who do have the extra cash, $200, $230 for a pair of Jordans, they kind of feel like they're getting ripped off. And then the people who can no longer afford these expensive Jordans are moving on to something else, maybe something more affordable, which kind of leads to the next point, which is trends changing. Now, again, mainly a Nike and Jordan problem, because if you think about it in terms of trends changing, it's not like retros are out of style. Adidas's most popular sneaker is a retro. It's the Adidas Samba. New Balance and Asics have seen incredible success with a lot of their old heritage models like the retro runners from the 2000s, but for Jordan Brand and Nike's retros, that seems to have the biggest decrease in terms of people's general interest, which is ultimately why you find so many of them at outlets. Trends shifting and changing is something that is to be expected. It literally is the way that the fashion world works. Things are constantly moving in a cycle where they're going in and out of style. So while yes, everybody is loving the retro runner sneaker now and maybe not so much the Nike Dunks and the Jordan 4s, retro Jordans and retro Nikes will be back on everybody's feet at some point in the future, just whenever that cycle returns to where it was. One interesting part of the whole trend shift to now being like one of the most popular sneaker models universally across all brands is the retro runner style. It gets interesting when you actually ask someone why they like that pair of shoes, because this is also a point to why so many people are saying Nike and Jordans are dead. The answer they usually give is comfort and practicality. People say that Nike and Jordans are just uncomfortable. It's the same slab of rubber underneath your feet that is solid. Many people who may have tried the retro runner styles, who maybe even exclusively wore Jordans, have experienced this comfort now and just appreciate it a lot more. A lot of people have loved the practicality and the versatility of a retro runner, where it's something that you can literally run in, be super comfortable, and also be in style because it's trending. And my next and final point to touch on is what everybody is saying Nike and Jordan Brand is doing here in 2025, and that is flooding the market. This one does seem pretty overwhelming here in 2025. There is just so many insane sneaker releases that you just can't get them all. There's just too many for each and every one to actually sell out. For a sneakerhead, you can't afford to buy each and every one. And for the general public who have already had their fill of Panda Dunks and, all of the other Nike Jordan Brand retros and now have experienced that comfort and practicality that comes with retro runners, they're just not buying as many Jordans and Nikes as they used to. So ultimately, it leaves a lot of these releases sat on shelves and then eventually moved to outlets. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Well, for everyone, it's going to be a little bit different. Some people really do miss the hype and sneaker reselling craze of the 2020s. Others absolutely hated those days. But in my honest opinion, 2025 is one of the greatest years in sneakers. We are getting some of the coolest sneaker releases from pretty much every brand. So while we're getting, yes, insane Nike and Jordan Brand collaborations collaborations, incredible retros. We're also getting cool stuff from other new brands. It's also nice to see people interested in more stuff than just retros. I would actually bet that more people have tried different stuff and different brands here in 2025 than a lot of the other past years. Whether it's picking up your first New Balance or Asics retro runner for the first time and experiencing that comfort and practicality, something from On or Hoka or a 3D printed shoe or one of the plethora of different really cool independent brands. People seem a lot more open to try new stuff now that it's not just everyone's hyper fixated on retro. So yes, Jordans and Nikes are sitting and being discounted, but to me what that means is that outlet shopping has gotten super exciting. But hey, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. I'm sure I'm going to hear a lot of different responses and stories. Be very keen to read through all of that. Love to hear your opinions, and of course I'm going to chuck another video in the top left hand corner. Check it out.